Well, I'll start with maybe the young or the novice. We'll call it a trainer and trainee, and work towards a more advanced athlete, if we'll call it that. Is there anything that you kind of look for or start, or how do you begin your training sessions? Whether it's someone who is not 14 or someone who is 14, but it's their first time in the gym and they're looking for improvements in speed or strength. Is there a way that you go about getting that started, and how do you go about approaching that progression-wise?
The funny thing is, we start everybody the same way. I don't care if they're 14, if they're playing in the pros, or if they're old. Everything is really always the same. We talk about this idea of sticking to the recipe. Everybody foam rolls, everybody stretches, everybody does their dynamic warm-up drills. The probably only major difference, some of our better athletes might skip the first step of some progressions. But even then, a lot of times they don't. We're doing our single leg stuff. If we're starting single leg with most athletes, we're starting with split squats, and we're starting with reaching one leg, straight leg deadlifts, and we're starting to teach them. We always talk about the idea of teaching the important patterns. We want them to understand these single leg stance patterns. We're going to teach those patterns. We're going to start teaching them to jump. We're going to start teaching them to run. We're going to start teaching them to push a sled, and it really doesn't change very much. When people say, even with weight training, the kid's going to lift weights. I'm like, well, yeah, if they're strong, they'll lift weights. If they're not strong, they'll probably lift their body weight.
Right.
But that wouldn't be relative to, my daughter, again, I hate to keep referring to my daughter. My daughter goes in and she's 11 years old. She's cleaning 65 pounds because she's strong. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about it. She's not straining. It's very easy for her. But she's a bigger kid. She's a husky girl. I have other kids in there that are cleaning, working, learning clean front squat combos with a 15-pound Alumilite bar. Right. The idea is always the load should be appropriate to the athlete. Whether, the big thing we don't do, I like complex lifts for kids because I think it's really good for coordination. I don't like complex lifts for adults because I think they've lost too much range of motion. So we might teach our kids, we will teach our kids to Olympic lift from the beginning of the time that they're with us. Okay. That's the one big variation. I will not do that in our adult population at all. The most complex we might get with an adult is a kettlebell swing, because I think for them, I always with adults it's like trying to jackhammer cement. You've got these changes in the thoracic spine and the shoulder joints and the hips that have been there for a really long time, and so that's why I'm not a fan of kind of the CrossFit kind of crap where you've got people doing high rep, clean and jerk and all. Adults, to me, adults weren't made to Olympic lift. That would be the one area where I'd say, hey, this is different. Okay. With our athletes, all of our athletes Olympic lift. But again, our older professional athletes don't. Okay. As these guys get older and get more beat up, it sort of goes from clean to snatch to dumbbell snatch, and then eventually those guys in their 30s that are still playing in the NFL, the NHL, or whatever, are probably doing more plyo work or using the Vertimax or doing kettlebell swings and probably not doing a lot of heavy explosive stuff. But that's probably the only really big variance that we have.